Good evening, everybody, and welcome to ILR2 Season 6, Round 12 of the season of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And joining me tonight is once again F1 Maestro James. How are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm good, and I'm extra good because it's working, and you should actually be able to hear me this week. So, as we load into qualifying, it's going to be both me and Dom here this week, as opposed to just Dom last week. And yeah, the Hungarian Grand Prix, Monaco without the barriers, difficult to overtake around here, so qualifying may be crucial. And as you can see properly on screen now, it's looking like a dry qualifying today. In fact, looking reasonably sunny, so I don't know what the strategy is around here, which is poor for me. I usually check, but we'll probably work it out pretty quickly, depending if the drivers appear on the softs or the hards at the start of the session.
Yeah,
and everyone's selecting the hards.
Everyone's on the hards, yeah. And as you expect, really, I suppose. I mean, they're probably going out there, doing a few laps getting a few laps on the board, and then going later on the different tyre. But we'll see how that all goes in qualifying. Actually, a few people are on the soft. Mr. Pigeon Manchester did the soft. Even Aitken, Melanie, Jork, and João Paulo, so they're looking probably just doing an out lap and then coming back in, or a banker on the soft and then coming back in again. But yeah, there's always a chance for rain in these races as well, which can make things extra interesting, and that definitely can be for a spanner in the works. But the first one out there is actually Mulder in the Toro Rosso. He's out there to start qualifying off. Midzi is there as well. So first cars out there to get some early laps on the board and get their eye in for qualifying, and particularly those last 5 minutes where everything all counts and everything on the line. They want to be ready for that. But James, what are the sort of challenging aspects of this circuit? What makes this circuit particularly difficult?
I think the corner that Mulder's just gone through, the left hand of, I think, turn 4 at the top of the hill, pretty much a blind corner as you come over the crest, and very strict on track limits. If you cut it or run wide on the exit, that's probably the most challenging corner on the track. And then this section here in sector 2 as well, I'd say high speed corners that Mulder's coming through, getting the right line through there is crucial, because if you mess up one part, then your line is off for the whole of the rest of the sector pretty much, and that can destroy a lap. So it's making sure you thread the car nicely through the high-speed corners and keep it on the track, of course, especially if it's a one-shot qualifying this week. If you're invalidating your only shot on the medium tyres at the end, you're going to be starting at the back of the grid, which admittedly is a reasonably small 13 this week, but if you're one of the top guys challenging for the championship, you really don't want to be starting at the back, because Mulder's binned off his out lap and come back into the pit. So Missy is now starting a lap as he heads down towards turn 1.
Yeah, heads into turn 1, down in second gear, and heads into DRS now. It's a very short, almost DRS activation point there, where it's very short. Not really a great overtaking opportunity here, but we've seen it done in real life, and it is possible you get a good exit for turn 1. And now you flick right, it's flat through there. Now we're heading uphill, and you can see how it goes uphill, and it's actually a blind apex here. Turns it in, down in 6th gear, and he's running it wide, and you don't want to do it too often, because actually can invalidate your lap time as well. So, and I think that might have just done, he's backed out of it. So
yeah,
if you run it wide after that corner, you're basically in a really bad situation. That's actually after turn 4. So if you get that wrong, and you could really invalidate your lap time. So he's backed out of it there. Melanie is out there at the moment as well. He's in the McLaren. He's actually on an out lap, so he's on the soft tyre. And we saw some very good pace from him last time out in Germany. Obviously, he made his debut race last time out, and hopefully he can continue that decent run of form that he had in Germany. He looked better in the dry than he did in the wet, but again, if it's a dry race, I think you could see him right up there, and he's got some very serious pace. And Danny M7 is out there at the moment as well on the hard tyre, and he is in contention for the championship, currently P2, and I think he's actually on a flying lap. So let's run on board with current P2 man in championship. He doesn't run it too wide out of turn 4, that's better this time. Turn 5 in 3rd gear, and he's short shifting out the corner to get better exits. And now this chicane down into 3rd gear is now Pigeon Munch goes top on a 17.5, and Daniel navigates not too bad through that chicane, and now through his left and then the right. They're sort of swooping and really slow. You've got to be really patient with the power, and he's got that done pretty nicely. And now here, down into 5th gear, turns it in, doesn't run it too wide as well, and that's sector 2 done. And now the last sector down into 3rd gear, and short shift at the 4th gear to get a better run, and now the penultimate corner down into 2nd gear, turns it in, and then short shifts to the 4th gear to get, again, a better exit. And then the last corner down into 3rd gear, patience, short shift at 4th, and now 5th gear. Across the line is a 17.5 behind Pigeon Munch. Pigeon Munch is faster than Danny at this stage of the session, so fair play to him. He's putting a not a bad banker on those hard tyres. So he's the one to catch at the moment. I'm sure times will continue to tumble as the session goes on. João Paulo, how's he getting on in the Alfa Romeo across the line? He's went well out last corner, but he puts it at P3. But not a great lap. You can see he made a few mistakes on that lap as well. Jork is out there at the moment, completing, I think it's his first lap here. He's on the hard tyre, so this will be a benchmark for him. He needs to be somewhere near Danny, ideally. Last corner, 4th gear. Different approach. So it's in 4th instead of 3rd. Now across the line, it's going to be quite a slow lap. It's going to be 18.9, and that's quite a way away. That's 1.4 away, but you never know. He might have made some sort of error on that lap, and I'm pretty sure he would have. It's a pretty slow lap to start things off with, but he'll go again. And on these hard tyres, you can do multiple lap times and multiple laps. So they'll probably just do a few laps here and there and then pop it back in the pit lane.
I think what Jork was doing there, I think he'd actually backed out of that lap, and what you may have noticed is he took quite a wide line through the final corner. I think that was more him setting it up for starting what is now going to be his actual flying lap, as opposed to whatever the last one was. I guess he made a mistake somewhere, as you said. This looks much more competitive, although his ERS is looking pretty low, down at 14%.
Really low.
So
yeah,
even if he does complete this lap, it probably won't be as quick due to the lack of ERS he's going to have coming through this last sector. But it's looked pretty tidy so far, as Mulder props it in 3rd with 17.7 and Nathan Aitken 18.4 on the stop, so that's not a proper lap time. He's definitely backed out of that one, as Jork now comes into the penultimate corner, 3rd here. Try not to get hooked on the drain or whatever that is on the curb, and into the final corner now, down into 3rd, shifting up to 4th and then to 5th. Don't run the car out too wide onto the DRS. He didn't have much ERS left, but it's going to be a 17.8 as well, so 3/10 off, but with the low ERS, that's pretty competitive. He'll be happy with that, and the top 4 are looking in quite a league of their own at this stage in the session, but obviously still 11 minutes to go, and the meaningful times still yet to come, as Mr. Pigeon Munch finds another half a tenth to go top once again.
And B.R. Hamilton across the line as well, an 18.5. So yeah, you can see the gaps between top 4 and everybody else. But yeah, that's quite a respectable lap from Jork there, I think. With the low ERS, he obviously wasn't able to deploy as much at the end of the lap, so that's definitely pretty respectable, and I'm sure he could find a lot more time there. So he's looking pretty handy at the moment, but we'll see. 10 minutes to go in the session, early days. Anyone down the order, Zelchi's out there at the moment. He's on a lap in the Red Bull as he clatters those curbs in the chicane there. But let's keep on board with him. He can show a decent run of form as well if he can pick it all up. So let's keep on board with him. And now this right-hander in 5th gear turns it in. 55.1 in the middle sector. I think that's reasonably there or thereabouts. And now he must be careful now. The penultimate corner now. 3rd gear turns it in. It's actually 2nd gear to get a better turn in. Short shifting, as you often see. And now the last corner down into 3rd gear, up to 4th to get a better traction. Actually, even 5th gear quite early. And across the line is going to be a 17.3. And that actually puts him on provisional pole. So yeah, that was superb.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Zelch obviously only done a couple of races in F2. This is either his 2nd or his 3rd race. He got swapped out of F1 for Overkill, who was deemed to be too quick for F2. So he wants to show what he can do in the second half of the season in this tier, and hopefully regain his place in tier 1 for next season. And he's definitely gone the right way about it so far this session. It was a reasonably average race for him last week, but picking up solid points. But nothing spectacular, but maybe he's slightly stronger around here. Although I know he does have some issues with his wheels, so hopefully those won't hinder him at all today. As we've got Melanie, no, he's still in the pits, but he had selected the medium tyres, so I think that's a sign of things to come. Everyone jumping onto the medium tyres at the end of the session, as I'm trying to see who else is on a lap. Danny's just started
one. And Danny, let's go with Danny, shall we, and see how he's getting on. So another run on the hard. That's a new set of hard tyres. He did that 17.5 earlier on, so he's gone for another set of hards. So let's see what he can do. Can he improve on that 17.5? And I'm pretty sure he can get right up there with Zelch's time if he can hook everything up. So the end of sector 1 now. Turn 4 coming up. Tricky corner here. He's 2 tenths up in the first sector. Doesn't run it too wide. And now turns it in here. Patience on the front. Oh, he loses the rear end. So that's the problem in that corner. Now, he completely, I think he kind of just, he's lost his rhythm and the momentum that he was building on that lap now. It's completely gone. Let's keep with him. Let's see if he can even find a bit more time. He might still be able to find a bit of time. Now, let's see. It's going to be a 55.0. So he is still up on this middle sector. So it's not bad. There's definitely a few attempts here. But it's still looking good. Penultimate corner now. Second gear. Turns it in. Short in third and fourth. Get a better run. Now the last corner. Let's see where it's going to be. It's kind of, I think it's going to be an improvement here. Here it comes across the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 17.334. Puts him second. And you could argue with that mistake out of turn 5, he had a really good chance of going top there. So definitely a lot more in the pocket for Danny M7.
Yeah, I didn't think the last sector was particularly special either. So he's looking good here with what was arguably a pretty average lap, and he's only 200ths off Zelch's time, but we didn't see all of Zelch's laps, so he could have made a mistake somewhere as well. But Jork is the first driver out on the mediums here with 7 minutes to go, so he's rounding the final corner now to start his lap. I guess we'd go with him because this will be the first actual representative lap time of the session as he heads down towards turn 1 now. DRS open, breaking down into second gear. Try to just kiss the curb, don't get your car caught up on it too much because it's a big curb and it will unsettle the car. DRS open once again as you head down towards turn number 2, down to third and then second, just once again clipping the apex and open the line up to slingshot through turn number 3. Full throttle to there easily as you head up the hill to the blind turn 4. Will Jork keep it between the track limits just about? And I think he was up on his time, but that's pretty academic at this stage in comparison to what time's on the boards as we head down towards the middle sector chicane. Mullins disconnected, unfortunately. Jork, he can get nice and clean through the chicane there as we now head into this tricky sector 2 section, running out a bit wide on the curve there. That will cost him a little bit of time, but not much. Keeping it in 6th through the right-hander, again running out a bit wide. And he's 4 tenths up, which will not really be what he's looking for, if I'm honest with you, because that's not even going to put him fastest, and he's overcooked it into the third to last corner there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish this lap, then go for a slow one, and then go for another one at the end of the session as he comes around the final corner. I don't think this is even going to be provisional pole, if I'm entirely honest with you. He gets the throttle and the DRS. Okay. Well,
16.9.
So another 4 tenths in the last sector, but he won't be very happy with that, and he'll probably go again after a cool down lap.
There was a good 3 to 5 mistakes on that lap there, and there was a few corners where he was going too deep or running it too wide, and yeah, that's cost him a lot of lap time. I think again that's improvable. He'll either box it in this lap and probably go on another set of tyres. What tyre choice he chooses, I got a sense of probably go on the medium tyre again if he has another set. I'm sure he does, but yeah, that's not great.
This will be his only set of mediums, so he'll do this type of a slow lap, recharge the ARS, and then go again. Would be my guess, because I think you only get 1 set of mediums if this game is the same as the last one. So he's just going to recharge the ARS on this lap. Probably invite Melanie back to the session if he can to try and get some help from his teammate this week, with Mike not here to help Danny. And then he'll go again once he's got the ARS recharged on the next lap. We've also got João Paulo now out on the mediums as well, but he's only just come out of the pit, so I guess we'll stay with Jork once again if he goes for another lap. Jork getting laps in early. No one else is, well, only one other person has left the pits, and no, I was wrong. He's boxing it in. So yeah, I don't know what his plan is. Maybe he will.
Could that be the end of his session? Maybe he will, yeah. And or is that the end of his session? Will he just go concede that is it? I doubt he would. I mean, I think that's be a missed opportunity if he does. I think we'll see.
Only 4 tenths clear. That's not enough. Yeah, no, he'll end up well down the order. With look at all the people on 17.3, 17.4s, and 17.5s. They'll all beat him. Nathan Aitken did a pretty irrelevant lap on the softs, and Dazzler and Melanie haven't even gone yet. So I think he would be risking it big time if he was to stick with that lap. So we'll have to see what his strategy is, as we now got Danny and Pigeon Munch also on out laps. Although it will be João Paulo the first one to start a lap. So we'll keep an eye on him for the moment. He's not got the last corner particularly right there. getting a bit too much up on the grass as he now starts his lap on the softs, as Melanie has now rejoined the team. He breaks down into turn 1, second gear, once again not really touching the curb and getting on the power nice and early with the DRS on, as we once again head down towards turn number 2, breaking down. He keeps it in 4th, then goes for a late double shift down to 3rd and 2nd. I think he's not on that corner particularly well. Big usage of the curve through turn 3. I would say that's pretty not optimal, which is not the correct way of saying it, but he's nailed turn 4 there, using the curve very well and not running out wide at all. He's gained a lot of time through there and taking a late apex through turn 5 as well to carry the speed on the exit down towards the chicane. It's a bit laggy.
Oh!
It's a bit laggy on my screen, but he's clearly planting the power on the curb or the grass, and that'll be a session over potentially, because as he's turning it around, he's losing precious time, and it takes the team about a minute to sort it out once he gets back to the pits. So I think Gianpaolo's done with a 19.9, so we'll move on to Danny, who's reached the end of sector 1 now.
Yeah, he's pushing on here. He's a 10th and a bit up in the first sector, so he's hooking it up here a little bit wide out of turn 5. Now the chicane, he needs to hook this one up. 3rd gear, turns it in nicely, shortens the 4th gear to get better traction on the corners, and now keeps it in 4th gear for the left, and then the right, down to 3rd to get better turn in, and shortens the 5th gear to get better traction, and now through here now, down into 5th gear. It's gone very wide, that's too wide, and that's 4 in the middle sector. It's still up, but not ideal. 3rd gear for this corner here, needs to be very careful on the throttle. He's done decent there. Penultimate corner, down into 2nd gear, now 3rd and 4th, and now into the last corner. Needs a good run here, but it's not been great. That mistake's a big mistake, and across the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 16.5, puts it on provisional pole, but that's definitely not good, and I don't think that's good enough. That could be good enough, but it's a big mistake in that lap. So, anybody else on laps? Jork starting another one, so he's going for one again. And Pigeon Munch, how's he getting on?
6th,
yeah, let's see what he's... Let's see.
Here
he comes
Jork,
out of the last corner.
I don't think.
16.6.
Yeah. What Danny did on his lap, it's such an easy mistake to make, is he's tried to maximise the use of the curb on the entry on the left-hand side of the track to give himself a good run through the corner.
Oh, there goes Mulder on pole.
16.3.
Yeah.
And he's
just caught the end of that.
Grip on the curb, and that's made him slide through the corner and run out wide. In theory, if he gets round again, he could go again. But we'll come back to Danny. I think we'll focus on Zelchi maybe?
Jork, yeah. Zelchi and Jork are right there near each other, aren't they? They're pretty much, is anything. Zelchi's giving Jork a bit of dirty air here as Zelchi gets out of the way nicely.
But he made a mistake in the last sector on his last lap, so maybe there's time to gain. Mitzi puts in a 16.8 and jumps ahead of Jork. And Asler puts in a 16.6, so this is what we feared. Jork, poor lap is going to cost him as he comes down the final corner now. This will be probably his last attempt, so I don't think he has enough CRS to go for another one.
Good.
And he doesn't
17.1.
So who else is out there on the lap?
Danny's Nathan Aiken on one? No, Nathan Aiken's backed out of it. Hamilton's on it. So Danny, he's going again.
Just started another one, yeah.
He's recharged, gone again. Let's see what we can do. So gets through turn 1, not too bad. Had a little bit of oversteer on the exit. Now turn 2, needs to be careful here. Down into 2nd gear, turns it in, shortens into 4th gear, out the corner nicely, and then not a bad run. Let's see, is it an improvement to sector 1? It's going to be a bit of an improvement. It's up a little bit, and now turn 5, down into 3rd gear, turns it in nicely. Doesn't run it too wide, does he? That's not too bad. And now the chicane down into 3rd gear. Up to 4th on the exit, a little bit of oversteer on the exit, but not too bad. And now the left, and now the right, down into 3rd gear, now up to 5th to get better traction. Now the left, and now the right, down into 5th gear, turns it in. Well, it's not bad, 54.2 in the middle sector, it's 2 cents up. It's there or thereabouts with Mulder, so this could be enough for pole position, potentially. He needs a really good last sector as he almost drifts it through the penultimate corner. Now needs a really good last corner. Can this be enough for pole position? In 3rd gear, down to 4th. Here it comes across the line. Is it enough for pole? 16.337. That's crazy. He's put it on pole position by the 1,000th of a second in the end. Wow, that was incredible. Bravo, Danny M7.
He got it together when he needed
Wow.
it at the end of the session.
Definitely.
Last run, which no one else really went for. Jork went for one as well, which means he'll have 3 laps on his soft tyres. Jork gained 1 place ahead of mid-speed, but Danny's gained 1 place as well, but it's a crucial one for pole position. And as you can see, confirmation there by only 1,000th of a second over Mulder. Those 2 miles ahead of everyone else, with Pigeon Munch on a 0.6, along with Ansmaz, last week's race winner, and Dasley in 5th. Jork jumped mid-sea by the smallest margins for 6th. So actually failed to get a lap in, so he'll be starting on the hards, which will be not ideal for him. Smashed it down in 9th. Nathan Aitken also didn't get a lap in, so he's starting on the softs from 10th, which is not where you want to be. Bill Hamilton and João Paulo also not getting laps in on the mediums, and Melanie's disconnection meant that he couldn't even put a time in. But wow, Danny pulling it out of the bag when it mattered there. Clearly trying to make up the lost ground from last week in the championship, and he's starting a long way ahead of his championship rival Jork here in Hungary, and we have a dry race as well, at least for the moment, but once again looking pretty sunny here.
That was stunning. I mean, and in that lap, Danny was thereabouts. It was pretty much equal at that middle sector, and he just kept pushing. And the lap almost just came to him in that last sector. So again, there's a really good lap by Danny M7 there, and we were able to catch the whole lap. So that was brilliant to watch. I think that was perfect. So as you said, James, it puts him in a very good position against Jork in the championship. Mike isn't here as well. Mike's also 3rd in the championship, but he's not here. So that means this is a great opportunity for Danny to extend the gap over his own teammate Mike in 3rd and claw in on Jork in the championship. And he's in a good position to do that today. All he needs to do is get a really good start and almost not... Mulder's a very quick driver as well on his day. So them two probably will be going for this race win, but don't rule out people behind them. Ansmaz showed good pace last week in Germany, so that could also be a spanner in the works too. Mr. Pigeon Munch as well, he's another one in 3rd place. He can definitely pull out the bag. So I think we're in for a bit of an interesting race here. Overtaking opportunities, there's not many on this circuit. As we mentioned earlier on, it's like Monaco without the barriers. There's 14 turns, but the DRS zones are pretty short apart from the pit straight, which is the only one that you really you have a great opportunity in turn 1. So this second one out of turn 1 isn't that great of an opportunity unless you get a really good exit. The big question on our minds is Danny needs to get away really well and just try and control this race and don't worry about Jork in this race, let him do his own race, and then obviously where Jork finishes is wherever he finishes. So Danny just needs to focus on the job in hand, and that is really to win this race.
Yeah, exactly. Something I would also think is worth mentioning is Danny's usually kept it pretty clean, whereas Mulder is known to get the odd corner cutting penalty, so Danny may not necessarily have to win this one on track to win it when the results screen come up. Something interesting I noticed, Melanie has decided he wants to start on the softs from the back, so that's a pretty aggressive strategy. So maybe you can do soft to hard, because I'd imagine the other strategy is medium to hard, or maybe Mel's trying a 2-stop or something ultra aggressive from the back of the grid, decided why not, let's go for it. Bill Hamilton in 11th on the hards and João Paulo on the mediums in 12th. And finally, we didn't race here last season, but the last time we did race here back in season 4, a certain F1 Maestro 26 won the race. I'm amazed to get through qualifying without mentioning it, but we'll get out of the way before the race starts. We'll see if Manny or Mulder or anyone else can join in the list of Hungary winners from ILRF2 as we prepare ourselves now for the start.
I'll plug that one in, didn't you, James? So, here we go, boys. They're all lining up now. Melanie's now lined up. We're all ready to go racing for the 12th round of this season. Here we go. We are ready to go racing here in Hungary. 5 lights are coming on now. It's 3, 4, and 5. And it's lights out and away we go. And it's a pretty even start from the 2 heads into turn 1. And Danny goes off immediately into turn 1. He's got, I think, actually got a decent... He goes into turn 1. It's Pidgeman on the outside of Melder in the end. But Pidgeman is actually in 2nd place. And Danny does lead. So Pidgeman in 2nd. Mulder won't try and give it up. Will look for a move. No, he won't. He won't do it. It's lap 1. It's no need to go for anything at the moment. It's a long race. And there we go. Mulder down into 3rd place. Is not where he wants it to be. But Danny leads, crucially, and now he can try and control this race if possible. And somebody's gone wide.
Jork.
Actually, people are wide. It's Jork. Jork's battling away with Midzi. Jork on the inside of Midzi. Jork on the, and it's going to be on the inside for the chicane. Can he get this one done? It's Midzi around the outside. Oh, they make contact, but they've really made contact there, and that's gone really wrong. And Midzi's got some sort of damage, or I don't know what's going on here, but Jork is now into 6th place ahead of Nathan Aitken. Nathan Aitken wants in on this as well. Nathan Aitken's on the soft tyre, bear in mind. Wants to get through on this as well as quick as he can because he's on a different strategy. But yeah, something really went wrong there between Jork and Midzi there. Contact was made. Almost Jork slowed down and so did Midzi, I don't know. But that was very interesting to say the least.
Yeah,
but look at that, Nathan Aitken. Yeah, Nathan Aitken looking for a move as well on Jork. He's right there with him, and he wants to get this one done into turn 1, I think. He's on a different strategy. He needs to get this one done if he wants to make this one work. Down the inside he goes on the McLaren driver, and it's wheel to wheel. Jork around the outside has the inside for turn 2, and that's the better line to have. Moves can be made around the outside if you have the better grip, and he is going to try and go around the outside as Nathan Aitken, and he's going to have the inside line for the next corner. He almost forces Jork off, and there we go, he's into 6th place, and that's what he needed to do to make this strategy in particular work.
Yeah, Nathan Aitken's race is pretty much screwed. He said it himself in the chat because he did a lot of laps on those soft tyres in qualifying, and he was hoping he'd beat it on the mediums, but obviously that went wrong for him at the end of the session. So he'll be in the pits very early, definite 2-stop for the Ferrari man. So Jork can maybe try and stick behind him whilst his pace is still good, see if he can get dragged up to the back of Ansmaz, which is actually what started the Midzi issue on lap 1. Jork went for a very aggressive move, I think, when outside of turn 4 on Anspas and got understandably pushed out wide because that's not really an overtaking spot. And then as a result of that, when he came back on track, Midzi was looking for the move as well, and that resulted in the eventual contact. Also, João Paulo had a spin at the back somewhere on lap 1, but no damage to him. He's just dropped a bit off the rest of the field as we now come to start lap number 3. Danny has not quite managed to escape from DRS, but he did just set the fastest lap, so his pace is looking pretty good. I think Pigeon Mud should be more worried about Mulder behind than he should be about Danny in front.
Indeed, yeah. Danny has tried this lap 2. He started to stretch his legs a little bit. He is trying to break away. He's doing. I think he definitely has that pace, and at the moment he's controlling this race. He just needs to break away a bit more, and Pigeon will try and just use all his ERS to keep with Danny because that's what he wants to do. So into the chicane now. It's all about this, and I think it looked like Danny was pretty good in sector 2 in comparison to Pigeon Munch. That's where he was getting his time on the last lap. So if he can use that and try and break away and get out of DRS, which is what he needs to do in this middle sector, that will help him out big time. And it is still sort of 7/10 of a second as Mulder's run really wide out of there. And if anything, Mulder's now a bit more under pressure from Dazzler than because Mulder's now about nearly a second back on Pigeon Munch there. So looking like the Pigeon Munch has been able to break away, has had a really good lap 3, and he's now starting to keep with Danny, and it's dropped Mulder away. So that's very interesting. Now Pigeon Munch will have DRS.
For the 6th, Nathan Aitken's tyres have dropped off, and Jork has got a much better exit off the last corner than him. DRS sticks through, and actually his straight line speed isn't looking great, but he has now got the move done, and because of the way the DRS works on this track, he'll get DRS down towards turn 2, so he should be clear of the Ferrari now, but he's now some 3.1 seconds behind Ansmaz, so it's looking like a long
Melanie around the outside of the Red Bull as well, around the outside, turns to the inside.
Wow.
That's a really good move. He forces the Red Bull off. And somehow they're still, I think, side by side, and Zelchi is still in 9th place, but Melanie will try and attack back, but can't through here, has to stay behind, smash her head as well, but that was turning into some real good battling, and didn't pay off for Melanie in the end, as Zelchi loses the rear out of the chicane, but Melanie just needs to put the Red Bull under a load of pressure, and he has got the better tyres. Bear in mind, he's going to start feeling those effects that Nathan Aitken had earlier, obviously on this lap as well, where he's just dropping away.
Surely he's losing so much time on those tyres. But something I did notice was João Paulo set the fastest lap at the back of the field in clean air. As Smash has just hit Nathan Aitken in the penultimate corner. He's evidently so starved. I'd be very surprised if he stays out. So
he stays out.
I don't know what strategy he's going for, but It's a run the tyres to the carcass strategy. I think Smasher will be able to get the move done. I think he goes defensive in towards turn 1. Smasher doesn't go for the Barrichello route and goes around the outside. And there's actually
look at Zelchi on the inside.
And that's ended predictably.
Oh, it's gone wrong. Aiken's gone. There. Oh, here goes Melanie on the inside of Zelchi as well. There we go. That's the move that he wanted to pull off earlier on. And he's got ahead of Zelchi. But yeah, that got a bit interesting. As now, look at Melanie on Smasher. He's going for it around the outside of turn 4. Is he? No, he's not. He'll try and cut back in. But again, here it's a short run into turn 5. And you really don't have an opportunity here. And this is really just staying behind the other driver at this point here. It's no overtaking opportunities through the chicane. Nothing through these these left-right sections either. Just got to stay behind the guy in front of you. But yeah, that got very interesting indeed.
Yeah, it's actually very opportunistic at the inside. I think he probably made contact with the Ferrari. It would have been, yeah. As Melanie's having another.
There he goes, Melanie.
And
he's tried it,
but he's blocked Melanie's line sufficiently well enough that the McLaren couldn't have a go. Now Zelchi's up inside the corner. That's pretty aggressive from the Red Bull driver. And Melanie will now have the inside line for the final corner. He needs to squeeze him out to prevent him getting a good exit.
He can't.
He's been unable to do
round the outside for the Red Bull.
Superior traction there, and he flies past from the outside line. But pretty aggressive from Zelchi into the penultimate corner. Mel won't be happy with that.
Down.
He knows better. Smash has gone deep into turn 1.
He's going to try and get a better run out of turn 1, but he's too far back. But I have to say behind, this is all really... Oh, here comes Zelchi on the inside of Smasher, and he's pulled that off. How the hell did he pull that off?
Oh, no.
Oh, they've made contact. There's lag on my screen, but there's contact. And it's going to be 3 wide. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Melanie's gone on the inside. Melanie's... I don't know where Melanie is. He's around the outside of Smasher. He's trying to get around the outside. Can't go around the outside of Smasher. Stay back. I don't know what happened there. That was...
How did none of them end up in the wall?
I don't know.
That's incredible racing for turn 4. There's a bit of lag which forced them both wide on the grass out turn 3, which gave Melanie a much superior run. And it was like, you know what, I want a bit of this into what I said earlier, the hardest corner on the track. They went 3 wide, very minor contact, but I'll give them all credit for that, for getting through there. João Paulo's unfortunately disconnected. As Zelchi's up to 7th, some very aggressive driving from the Red Bull man, but he's made it work so far, as Melanie now does dive into the pits. His part in this entertainment is over, and we'll see what tyres he takes on board. It's going to have to be a 2-stop for the McLaren man, pitting this early, I'd imagine, as he relinquishes the position to BR Hamilton. And we haven't really talked about the top much, but Danny's just holding the gap just above 1 second. Peter Munch is there or thereabouts, but he can't get within DRS, so Danny has this all under control at the moment. Mulder did pick up a penalty, as I mentioned before the race a couple of laps ago, so although he's third, he's not really third at the moment, as he's getting all over the curb there on turn 5, and that will cost him a bit of time on the exit. But yeah, we've been so engrossed in the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th that we've barely been able to concentrate on what's going on at the front of the field, but pretty much in the same order they were when we left it on lap 2 or 3.
Yeah, and then I think Dazzler's looking pretty good there as well in 4th place. He's behind Mulder, and he's closer to Mulder than Mulder is to, well, did I say that? It's now grown, but yeah, it was. Yeah, another penalty. And this is his downfall. And even if he gets in front of Pigeon Munch, it's not going to be enough, as now Danny's now 1.4 ahead of 2nd place man Pigeon Munch. So he's pulling that gap, and he's got that pace. He's starting to unleash that pace now. So he's pitted in.
Maybe
it's early, isn't it?
The hards. Yeah. Maybe the hards are just an unreal race.
Oh, but bear in mind, Zelchi, I think it was Dazzler and Mulder going wheel to wheel, and it's going to be Dazzler down the inside, but could make it stick. He's actually hitting the Mulder there. Yellow's into the 2 and 3 because of Midzy, and still Yellow's in 3, so we may have a safety car depending on what the game wants to do.
No, he's already left the session. We'll be alright.
That's fine. But yeah, Mulder got really scruffy out of turn 1, and it put Zelchi right there with him. And that got all very interesting. And I'm wondering if Zelchi got some sort of damage, because there's definitely contact made. Because that's meant that
you mean Dazzler, right? Not Zelchi.
Dazzler might have damage with that battle with Mulder, because it looks he's lost a lot of ground in comparison.
His wing looks alright.
Might have a little bit of end plate damage.
But yeah, you're right. Ansmaz is much closer to the back of him now, but what that's given Pigeon Bunch is a 1 second gap over Mulder. So Danny and Pigeon Bunch could have an opportunity to go away at the front of the field. No one else pits, though. The McLaren boys have evidently gone for the early strategy on the pitting. We'll see if it works. I think, remember on the last game, the hard were, or whatever equipment was on the last game, the hard were.
It comes Ansmaz down the inside. Yes, he's gone for it. And on the cutback, it's Dazzler on the cutback, and he's got that one done, I think. And he just about keeps hold of P4. But yeah, that was a very Ricciardo-esque move. I like it. I like the aggression. That's pretty good. Not bad. Here comes Ansmaz again. He's right on the back of Dazzler, but he won't be able to make a move into turn 4. Yeah, he's got this, and now it is just going to be staying behind the Red Bull for the rest of the sector and just hooking it up for the 2 and 3, and then really going for it out of the last corner and hooking it up for the next lap. Really, I think that's what we can really do, because it is just one-way traffic for here. He'll just try and just keep the pressure on, almost force Red Bull into a mistake potentially. That could be his next objective. But I think it's going to be done. They're really running it wide there. That's track limits are being used. Again, now penultimate corner needs a good run. But if anything, the Red Bull's got DRS on the Toro Rosso ahead. So
just about.
Any gain, any gain he'll have, it's going to be a little bit neutralised here. So let's see. How's the run out of last corner?
Dazzler will be aware of
DRS.
He's too far back this time, I'd say.
Yeah.
Dazzler will be aware of it anyway. He's miles back, yeah. But I understand the frustration from Ansmaz there. Like, this game is very difficult to overtake with the DRS train, which obviously he's in at the moment. So that I understand him to an extent trying something like that. But let's be honest, that was a bit silly, a bit too ambitious, because he overcooked it massively, and Dazzler could just go for the cutback. I'm not saying don't try overtakes, but a bit too ambitious from Ansmaz on that one, but we'll let him off because no one got any damage from it. And yeah, as you said, a bit Ricciardo-esque, and hopefully he doesn't go for something too ridiculous again. But it will be interesting to see when these guys jump into the pit, because it's been a couple of laps now since Jork and Melanie pit. So Nathan Ake has set the fastest lap on the hard, so evidently the hard tyre at this stage is a better tyre than the old medium tyres. So obviously I'd be interested to see if these guys want to cover the undercut, or they feel like Jork was sufficiently far behind, which, to be fair, was like a 4-second gap, so they probably weren't worrying about him too much. So they may not bother, and they may just continue running their own race and wait for one of the guys in this train to trigger the pit stops. But Pigeon Bunch, 6/10.
Yeah, right there with him. I was to mention that. Yeah, he closed it down. It was, 1.1? And then it closed all the way back down to within DRS. And he's right there with Danny. So I don't know if Danny's losing grip on the mediums and starting to struggle a little bit. Or maybe it's just been a mistake on the previous lap that's put the Renault back on him again. So we'll see how this one plays out, because it looks like Pigeon Bunch definitely looks the faster driver at the moment. We'll see how this all plays out in this lap, because if he can keep with Danny, it's a good opportunity actually. If he gets it all hooked up in these next couple of sectors, and that's what he needs to do if he wants to have any chance of getting past Danny M7. But Danny, whenever it's been close, he's been able to extend that gap again and just get away. And it's now a second, so he's pulled it in that second sector, looking a lot better than in comparison to the Renault driver. So looking good, and Danny's pulling the gap when he needs to, and that's what and in the right areas, so he can get out of that DRS. But again, Pigeon Bunch still keeping the pressure on and not letting Danny breathe, and that's the important thing. Don't let your opponent breathe, and that's what he's doing. He's now under a second, but does he have DRS? I don't think he will have DRS. No, he wasn't there on the activation point, so he's too far back. But if anything, Mulder has DRS. Yeah.
Mulder just got back in it this lap, so clearly not a very good. As Nathan Aitken's in the wall somewhere in sets of 2, he's had a spin. Hopefully he doesn't retire, but he's damaged that wing, so he'll need to come in again, and hopefully he does have another set of hards. And no.
Beer Hamilton's gone.
Where's that?
I don't know where that's
on the straight.
Yeah, I can see his car. Yeah, it's gone. He's left now. He's left the session now. Well, that call
virtual
is
safety car.
it's VSC. VSC.
Are they close
okay.
enough to the pits? Probably not.
Not Danny. Aiken's done for it, hasn't he? He's gone for it. Yes, he has.
So yeah, was he near anyone, or has he literally just been in the wall on the straight? Was he near Smasher, potentially?
I think they were battling together. Yeah, there must have been some sort of contact there, maybe, or maybe just lost. It's very odd to see a driver lose it in the middle of a straight. It doesn't happen. So there must have been some sort of contact earlier on, and that sent him spinning round. And definitely, no one loses a car at the straight line. Like
no, unless you're Roman Grosjean.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe.
But the virtual safety car hasn't ended, so surely he's going to come in. As
he does.
Has got a drive-through, as the VSC has now ended. Mulder, Danny and Pigeon much all in, and Smaz is in as well, but Dallas's evidently just got into the red on that Delta before the VSC ended, and as a result he's got to drive through the harshest penalty you can get from the game, and now he's out of his battle for the win. But yeah, hard task to everyone else. They haven't benefited from the VSC because it ended before they got in the pits. Mulder's jumped them, I think.
Yeah. No, Danny's fine. Yeah, Danny got held up. Pigeonmunch got held up, but it was enough for Danny to keep in front of the Torosso in the end. But yeah, it was close there because the racing point of, I think it was, Ansmas came into pit lane as well on the same lap, and that held Danny, and then it also held Pigeonmunch up too. So that's how it's costed Mulder at that time. So that's how did Pigeonmunch to lose time to Mulder, and Mulder's now got into in net second place. So game on for Mulder, but again, those penalties are going to be an impact. Even if he gets in front of Danny can just sit behind him, and Danny doesn't need to worry about it. So
Mulder's
Pigeonmunch,
to lose, though. He'll go for it for sure.
Of course, exactly. Obviously, with Pigeonmunch as well. I mean, he's now in net third. You know, he'd want to get past Mulder as soon as he can, but even if he doesn't, he'll be second place on the track if he keeps with Mulder. But we'll see how this all plays out, because as you meant,
would it be the drive-through or the pit stop? You never know what the game is going to give him.
I reckon drive-through. That's my prediction.
It is, yes. The Red Bull crew are not out, so that's this race effectively ruined. He'll probably end up behind Melanie when he's done a pit stop as well. And yeah, unfortunate for him, but you can't take any liberties as Nathan is now out as well. So that means we're down to 10 runners, so everyone left in the race will get points if they finish. As Dazzler does come out just ahead of Danny, but he still needs to make a pit stop, so that would be frustrating for him. And we'll see where he plays out once he's done that. But yeah, the gaps have sort of spread themselves out. Obviously, people still within DRS, Mulder, Pigeonmunch, and Smaz. But there's not really much you can do, as Mulder's made a mistake into turn 4 there, run out a bit wide, but that won't cost him too much, I wouldn't think, as we now head towards the chicane once again. But yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one this week, not many cars in the race, and around this track as well, it's sometimes not the most entertaining race, if I'm being brutally honest, but there's still cars close together. Things could happen as Smash actually moves past João Paulo, who's actually also not in the race because he's disconnected, so it's actually only 9 cars, and we'll see if Dazzler comes into the pits at the end of this lap, and that will promote everyone else up a position if he does. No, he's staying out, he's clearly hoping for an actual safety car in order to save his race. Yep.
Zelchi hasn't pitted yet, but we don't expect Zelchi in for a few more laps now, because the medium did what, 13, 14 laps roughly. So he'd probably be coming in around about lap 20, 21 roughly, I'd say. Yeah.
I'd agree. That's okay. He wants to have some fun despite his drive-through, because Danny's now caught him up on much fresher and quicker tyres. So we'll see if Dazzler decides to fight that, what he decides to do. Or if he just pits at the end of this lap, and then the issue isn't there. Pigeonmunch now picks up a penalty, and now puts Danny in a massive pole position to win this race, because he now has 2 cars between him and Ansmaz, the other driver who doesn't have a penalty. So Danny's pretty much chilling at this point, as long as he can negotiate Dazzler without any issues. He's in a very good position. He
hasn't really closed a lot here. He's there. He's 6/10, but not as big of a gain than I expected him to have. here comes penultimate corner, and needs a good run out of here. He wants to get this one done really quickly, because if he can get it done, then Dazzler can hold him up. And Dazzler, does he pit? Yes, he does. He's in. So that's released Danny and every. So as I was speaking, what I was going to say was, Danny, if you got past Dazzler, you know, to sort of gain even more of a gap to Mulder. Mulder's right there with him. Look,
it's all going wrong for him.
It's all going wrong. If this couldn't get any worse, just has. But Mulder again, he's right there with Danny. The gap's under 0.4 of a second, so he's there, and he really wants in on this. If he can keep with Danny and get DRS on this lap, God, he's gonna be golden for opportunity into turn 1.
Danny was safe on the last lap because he had DRS from Dazzler, who just pitted, but he's actually 7.7 seconds up the road, so he's not going to have DRS off anyone this lap. So if Mulder can stick with him, which is much easier said than done through this middle sector, as you can see, he's already dropping back now, already up to 6/10. Mulder will have a big chance of getting past, but the penalties are going to cost him, as we've said many times. Even if he does manage to get past, winning the race when it comes to penalties is going to be much more difficult for him, unless Danny also decides that he wants to do some straight lining of corners or something. But Danny's been pretty clean throughout the season as a whole, so I doubt he'll pick up any more than one penalty max, probably none at all. And Mulder's now 8/10 back, which I'd say is too far, if I'm honest with you. No, it's definitely too far.
He's gone really wide.
As well. Danny sets the fastest lap this time just to rub it in.
I've seen Mulder do that a lot of times at our last corner. He closes up big time into turn 1 though, so he's using a lot of that ERS to close in on the Mercedes driver. But he's just too far back to make a move. He needs to be roughly half a second out of the last corner to make any sort of impression on the Mercedes. So yeah, that's his challenge, and it does look like Danny has got the edge, particularly into the 3, where he just pulls it. Look at that. Look at how much Mulder closes up going into turn 4. He's really closing it up, using a lot of that energy that he's got. But the more he uses that, the more he's draining that battery, Danny can just hold his ERS, not worry about it too much, and then when Mulder runs out of it, Danny can just get away again. So Danny is just managing this race, and you can just tell the way he is driving. He's just managing the race, and really, whatever happens. I think really he's in the driving seat.
Yeah, definitely. But now pretty much the penalty is why something pretty out of the ordinary would have to happen to stop Danny winning today. And yeah, that would be him almost 100% retaking the championship lead. If he does do a jork down in 6th at the moment, maybe 5th when Zelchi pits. But Zelchi will probably get past him on the softs anyway, so looking good for Danny. Dazzler's now retired and we have another virtual safety car, so we're down to 8 runners in the race. And yeah, Zelchi will be annoyed, although it would be quite a long stint on the softs if he had pit ons, then probably not worth the risk. So maybe not this time, but another virtual safety car, not an actual safety car once again. So only semi-neutralised the race as Mulder's looking to get going once again. You said he was close before. He'll be hoping to be able to stick with Danny this time, as opposed to the last time when Danny was released from behind Tesla, where he just flew off.
Yeah, indeed, and they're roughly a sort of half second, I think. The gap was 6 tenths out of the last corner, and it looked like he had a good opportunity potentially because the amount of time he was catching up on that straight in that DRS. So you'd want the same situation again if possible. Now we're going again, so DRS enabled once again, and we're racing. And you know what? Not a bad reaction from Mulder there. He's right there with the Mercedes here, so he needs a really good run out of these last few corners of this lap, and he'll have a really good opportunity into turn 1 if he can just keep it all clean and just keep with Danny. It's now 5 tenths the gap. If he can keep it and just get a good run out of here, he's going to have a good opportunity. He needs a good run, and he's got not a bad run. It's close. It's as close as it's been out of the last corner. Is it an opportunity to take hold of the provisional lead of the race? It's not. He's too far back, and he couldn't get alongside Danny in turn 1 and stick behind him. But he's got... Interesting. Here comes Mulder. There goes to the outside, round the outside. No, he can't go around the outside, and Danny blocks it off nicely. So Motor Rosso could not get past the Mercedes in the end, but he's right there with him, heading into turn 4, but too far back. He's staying with him big time through here, and he's breathing down the Mercedes driver's neck, not letting him breathe as he loses the rear end out of turn 5 through the chicane, and the Mercedes just about does enough to keep hold of P2 for now. But yeah, it got really close there. Pigeon Munch is in on this action too, and is right there, and really Mulder's got a really scruffy lap.
For some reason, I imagine he hit Pigeon Munch under the VSC. That would be the most logical explanation. So he's had to pit for a set of softs in the new front wing. He's now down in 8th, miles behind Smasher, so that's probably where he's going to end up finishing. And that makes Danny in an even better position, because now Jork is the next closest car to him without a penalty, and he's 9-10 seconds behind. So Danny's got this all under control for the moment, and he now does have a gap of over a second, but it'll now be brought back under a second by Mulder on the DRS. Will Pigeon Munch be close enough? 3/10 back? No. Not quite. But yeah,
he doesn't have the straight line speed. He doesn't have the straight line speed in comparison to Toro Rosso. He looks like he's not closing up enough in the DRS. Even though obviously Toro Rosso has DRS on Danny, he expects some sort of closing up happening, but it just doesn't. Nothing happens. It just doesn't close up. So Pigeon Munch looks good, and he looks like he's equally got the pace that Mulder has. I just can't make anything of it. He's just got to stay there for now, and at the moment he will finish second on track, but yeah, he needs.
He's lost it.
Oh, he's gone a bit deep. Yeah, he's gone very deep through the chicane there, and that's definitely he's back. He's still there with Mulder though. I'm wondering if he got some sort of warning out of that though. He may have done. I hope not, because he lost time out of that. So really, if the game gave him a penalty or gave him a warning, it's not really. Yeah.
I'll check for a warning. I don't think so though. It'd be very harsh if it had. No, he didn't.
Then that's fair play. And here comes Zelchi into the pits. So Zelchi's pitted, and that's going to release Danny into the lead of the race, and everyone will be back in their normal positions after everyone has made their pit stops. So it's a set of mediums for the Red Bull. Away he goes. Let's see where he comes out. He's going to be behind Melanie. Yeah, definitely. The Red Bull, the McLarens are together, aren't they? They really are together. So Melanie actually had a pretty decent race to be in P5. So Zelchi on the fresher mediums, a better life on them. So he's going to have a really good chance. It'll be definitely P4 by the end of the race, because I can't imagine Jork or Melanie getting to the end of the race on those 13 or 14 lap hard tyres. They'll have to go for a set of softs for the end, I think. So he's in net P4, Zelchi, I think, in this race.
I think they will go to the end. There's no logical reason why they wouldn't. Oh, it's Gianpaolo's rejoined, so he will get some points. Because I don't understand why Melanie was started on the softs otherwise, and Jork was on the mediums and didn't have damage. So they must be going to the end. Otherwise, it seems like a completely illogical strategy call to pit when they know they can't get to the end, or start on a set of tyres which you know you can't do that strategy on. So admittedly, Zelchi will get past them anyway, because the source will be much better tyres. He's already right up behind Melanie, who I'm sure won't make life easy for the Red Bull driver. But I think they're going to the end, if I'm entirely honest with you. Whether they'll get punches or something, you never know. But I would say they're going to get to the end as Melanie basically moves out of Zelchi's way, so making me look like an idiot. He's letting them straight through, and Zelchi will be able to get after the other McLaren and Jork, who may find it harder, or may also see it as a pointless battle and let Zelchi go on his way up to catch the podium. As we've got a yellow
to number 2 again.
That'd be Gianpaolo, who just had a spin after rejoining. But he is back, and he'll be picking up 2 points for his troubles if he can get to the end of the race.
Not a bad day's worth of work, that. Going back in and rejoining and get us some free points. Not bad. Mulder, though, still with Danny. Gap was about 4/10 at one point, so they've really got close together. Now Smash gets a penalty for multiple warnings. Mulder now still is further back than the Mercedes, so not looking like, again, this track doesn't have a load of overtaking opportunities, and basically where Mulder is faster than Danny, which is in sector 1, he just can't make anything stick. And he's now on, 9/10 back on the Mercedes here, so it's not good. He's had DRS, but it's not really right out that last corner. Has he? Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's now into 4th, so You know what? He can push on here and try and get near the podium. Because does he have any penalties?
I don't think he does. Let me just check quickly. I haven't seen his name pop up.
I haven't
No,
either.
he doesn't. He's done 2 warnings though, so he's not far away.
He needs to be careful.
But pretty much is 3 seconds. Mulder has 6 seconds. Then Giselle should finish second here. He doesn't even have to pass the 2. He just needs to get close to. Well, actually, he might have to pass Pigeonmunch, who's dropped massively off the back of the front 2. Has he got damage maybe? Because that's a big drop off.
He's 3.2 back, and he was what half a second away from Mulder at one point.
He doesn't look like he has damage. But ever since he had that slide at the chicane, he's just dropped back. That's a very weird one. We'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, but Zelchi definitely has a good chance of getting on the podium here. I think if he can just get going, he needs to be careful with his own penalties, bear in mind too. But if he's got the life in the tyres, he's got the better compound and the faster compound, so it's definitely a chance for the Red Bull driver to have a go getting on the podium. And as you said, he doesn't even need to pass him on track. He just needs to be there within 3 seconds, and he'll have a good opportunity. He is getting held up by, I think it's João Paulo. So this will cost him a little bit of time, but we'll have some DRS though. João Paulo should yield and let him go. It is blue flag, so is he gonna let him go? No. Oh yes, he does. Okay, yes, he actually has to overtake him.
Oh my God.
Which is fair enough. And I should laugh at that, but he actually had to overtake him.
Run into the back of him, weaving to show his displeasure.
Yeah.
Jesus, that was uncomfortably close.
That was very close, and he had to actually make the overtake to get that one done. So I'm wondering if he'd want to query that after the race with management, because that's if you're getting blue flagged, and we saw it, the blue flags were out for the Alfa Romeo. You should listen to those blue flags, and he didn't. Instead, he made it really hard, harder than it needed to be. And that's cost him a little bit of time, and I'm sure that he'll be fuming if that cost him time for the podium as well. I'm pretty sure of that too. So he'll try and push on now, and he'll just try and close in if possible. But talking about closing in, Mulder right there again with the Mercedes, and he's within 6/10 of him. He's a good last corner, not right too wide. He runs it wide again, and I'm seeing it a lot of times. And it'll be that one time where he hits the AstroTurf at the wrong area, and he'll spin it. And that's what he doesn't want to do. He's playing with the limits, and he loses the rear end out of turn 1. So
he's really going for it.
He's pushing on here. He wants to get past Danny, but it's again the wrong areas.
It doesn't mean anything to Mulder because he's not going to win the race, but he's giving it everything, and he really wants to win it on track, even if it means not winning it when it comes down to it. But yeah. 10 laps to go. I'd be very surprised if Mulder doesn't eventually go for it if he can get close enough, but he's just not quick enough to the middle sector to be in a position to make the move when it comes to the DRS straight. As Zelch is rapidly closing on Pigeonmunch for 3rd place. If he can hold on to his tyres, he'll definitely be on the podium today.
I tell you what, Danny's used a lot of his ERS, so it just tells me that he is under pressure for this race win. He's not cruising. He's okay. So that means he has to pass Pigeonmunch, because Pigeonmunch's got a penalty as well. So he's got to pass him on circuit. That still potentially is possible if he can continue closing in the gap. His mediums are going to be pretty wrecked by the end, and in terms of how old and how much usage they've had, they'll be pretty much neck and neck. Compared to the hard, so yeah, it's not ideal for him because he really didn't want to have a penalty, because that's made his life a lot harder, because he'd have to make the overtake get the overtake done. But Mulder again closes in this first sector, but again it's just too far back to make any sort of impression into turn 4. He's not going to go for a suicide move there. He says way back. Because now Mulder gets another penalty. Yeah, and
which means that she only has to finish within 6 seconds of him again, which means P2 is back on for the Rebel Man, and now he's overcooked into the chicane as well. And that could be game over when the gap adjusts. That's now over a second. So he does have a bit more ERS than Danny, but again, he's going to have his work cut out. If Danny is sensible, he'll try and keep the gap over a second with everything he's got. But no, Mulder's straight back on it, and it's teetering and that 1.0 and then 0.9 as we come up to the, or have we already gone past the DRS detection point?
Then we've gone past it. Yeah.
And he hasn't got it this lap. So if Danny can have a good lap next time by, get the gap up to 1.3, 1.4, then I think it could be all over for Mulder in terms of winning the race on track. He wasn't going to win it when it came down to it anyway, but it was nice whilst he was giving it his best shot. But I feel that could be over. But no, Danny's run very deep into turn 1. Unless that's just the line that he takes. But no, he's lost 3/10 there.
No.
So he's definitely overcooked it on the brakes and given Mulder a lifeline here, which he really shouldn't have. And it's now back down to 8/10. So Mulder getting lucky here, and the battle could still be on.
That's good for us. Because everybody else is they're all pretty gapped. And at the moment, this is our main battle on circuit for the race for technically for P1 is Ulysses at the one. Who is that? Is that João Paulo maybe?
Yeah, he's just let.
He's got out of the way. Yeah, I'm wondering if he's got some damage. He looks like he's got some sort of end plate damage on the front left, so he's had a bit of a moment somewhere.
Maybe out on the exit of turn 2, he might have lost it and put it in the wall on the left. That would make sense. But the gap is still 7/10 at the front, so that is enough for Mulder still to be within DRS. And the ERS levels are still pretty comparable to what they were before. So Mulder in DRS now as we come around the final corner. He won't be close enough, but if he can just gradually continue. It almost
loses the rear. You see? He's playing with fire out that last corner. He doesn't need to do that, and he's doing it. Again, it is something to be admired, but he's playing with danger there, and the one wrong turn on the steering wheel, you're gone. You see you later, mate. So he doesn't want to keep doing that. But yeah, he's still there, and he's very quick in this first sector, and that's partly down to the DRS, and that is true. But even out in corners where it doesn't require DRS, he's there really closing the gap on Danny. And I'm wondering if Danny's got more aero on the car or something like this, which is causing the straight line speed to be a lot lower, particularly through sort of turn 3 and 4, where the Toros just closes in and reels the Mercedes driver in. So the gap now 7/10, but then the Mercedes driver, he gaps it out of sort of the penultimate corner and the last corner. He's definitely faster through there in comparison. So he's Danny's basically extending the gaps where he needs to, and faster in the right areas to keep the Taurus driver at bay for now. And that last corner, now look, the gap is over 1 second. I think he'll have DRS as he does, because he was within it in activation, and he'll close it once again, but he's just too far back. And again, Danny's just managing this race. Yes, he's having to use a lot of the ERS to defend, and is that a sign that maybe he doesn't have the, in terms of all-out pace, he hasn't had the all-out pace in this race, but because of track position, he's been able to manage it, and that's what he's been able to do.
Yeah, definitely smashing our pits for some reason. He's going to lose 7th Antimas. Maybe he had damage as well somewhere, but I think he might have lost that one on penalties anyway, so he'll probably put on a soft, and we might get a battle between him and João Paulo, the two alphas, for the fastest lap, although I don't think you get a point for it in ILR, so it won't mean anything, but something else to keep an eye on in the closing laps. So she's still closing the gap, not as much as he had, oh no, as I said,
2 seconds.
Taking 4/10 out of him. It's now under 2 seconds. He's really closing it on this lap. The gap had stabilised a bit, but he's had a good little sector on this lap, and with 6 laps to go, I wouldn't bet against him closing that gap. And then if he's within 6 seconds of Mulder come the flag, as long as he doesn't pick up any more penalties, he'll end up in P2.
Oh, Mulder ran it really well out the last corner, and he nearly lost it again, but he's in DRS, closing in on the Mercedes driver, but again, too far back. But yeah, definitely, Zelchi's got an opportunity, and he's looked very quick, and I really want to know what happened to Pigeon Munch, because he was at a really good pace with this lead battle, he was right there with it, and then all of a sudden, it just went away. And I'm just wondering, maybe he made a mistake somewhere, and he's lost a little bit of an end plate or something like this, and it's completely led to him dropping off, these two boys here. That's what I've got a theory, because it just seems very unnatural for him to lost so much time on the same Asia tyre, it's all gone wrong, and I think there's definitely something's happened to him on one of the laps. Maybe before that incident where he locked the rear up and went straight on at the chicane. Yeah, maybe he had maybe he turned in too early at one point at the last corner and he knocked off the end plate or something like this. Because that's very unusual. Because he would have been able to stay in DRS on these two and be right there with them, and it seems very strange.
If he was on the podium, we'd have been able to ask him. Zolci just made a mistake. It's back up to 2.6. But unfortunately, although he is currently within 6 seconds of Mulder, so he may well end up on the podium. We'll have to wait and see. But he's not pushing at all because his ERS is up at nearly 70%. Zolci's pit. What on earth's going on there?
Very strange.
Hit the wall somewhere.
I reckon so.
And he's
retired. He's DNF'd. He's retired.
What on earth? Wow.
There we go. We can ask pigeonmans now, lads.
Yeah. Absolutely no idea.
That's very strange. Has he had an issue with his equipment or something?
That's
Maybe?
a possibility, yeah. We'll see if he says anything in the chat. That is a very weird one, as we are now down to 8 runners in the race. Jork's been gifted an extra couple of points, which will minimise the damage in the championship. But yeah.
That is very odd.
I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, it's very strange. And, when somebody who was catching P3 up and then made a mistake into the pits.
In the chat.
Wheel problems, I thought so. That you wouldn't retire like that for no reason. And there you go. Wheel issues, equipment issues. That's really unfortunate because that was a definite possible podium on there. Definitely. I think that was definitely possible. Even the pitcher has 1 penalty and so does Zolci had 1 penalty as well. I think that was a good chance, and that's really unfortunate. So bad luck, equipment failing on you, and that's not what you want to do. What want to happen in this race, in these races, really. So hopefully he sorts it out for next week.
Just a couple laps short of getting a point for completing 90% of the race. Now Antmas is also in the pit, so Smasher will get that what has now become P6 back, as Antmas also wants the piece of the fastest lap action. Jork and Melanie.
Oh, Mole just went really wide out of turn 5, and again he keeps pushing the limits. I really admire it, and it's so good to watch him pushing hard. Again, going wide there, he's made a mistake probably, and he's just lost all the momentum that he built up. And now he's closing it up again, so he's just pushing so hard. But it's just, nothing's possible. And at the moment, Danny's led this race from, lap 1, done what he's needed to do, and he's definitely got this one done, but Mulder is not giving up winning it on track, and that's definitely good to see, because it gives us something good to watch. There's nothing else. I mean, Melanie's now close with Jork.
He won't pass him. Or if he does, they'll swap it back at the end. There's Melanie's not in
title contention.
Yeah, obviously it's only his second race. Pretty pointless him taking 2 points off Jork at this stage of the season, when Jork needs the 2 points, especially with Danny winning the race. As Mulder's still just about keeping it under a second, but with so little time in the race to go, I think Danny has got this one in the bag, on track, and definitely when it comes down to penalties. But Mulder now does have the gap to Pigeon Munch over 6 seconds, so it will be second place to Mulder, as opposed to third, or maybe even fourth when Zolci was looking like he was in the mix as well. Yeah, just a couple of laps to go now, and I think Danny has definitely got this one in the bag.
100%, and he's, again, Mulder is not giving up to the end, and that's what we like to see, but I definitely think he's got this one done and dusted, and if anything, maybe with all the curb riding and all going off track and doing all this, I think maybe Mulder's lost maybe also made a little bit in his tyres too. He goes off wide again out of the last corner. But look at this, he's still there in the DRS. He's going to close up again, but he's just too far back into turn 1 and he'll have to stay behind. We're into lap 34 now with one and a bit more laps to go in this race, and is looking a very good drive, a very controlled drive from Danny M7, and that's what we've seen in this race. And once again, Mulder closes up through turn turn 2 and turn 3, and he's closing in, and he's in the slipstream, the Mercedes driver, and he's trying his best, but he can't make it here. It's one-way traffic through here, stays behind the Mercedes.
Well, 4 tenths
He's
now,
pushing.
This is...
And then now through the chicane, look at this, he's right there with him. He's pushing him hard through here, and it's just... He's gonna try it. You know, he's gone too wide again. He keeps doing it there. It's always that corner, but he's still within 6 tenths. He's wide again.
Absolutely everything. It's just
very
impressive to watch. Admirable.
It's giving him the beans, and he needs a good penultimate corner. And if he can get a good penultimate corner and a good last corner, he can have a chance. He doesn't want to run it too wide at the last corner like he's been doing. If he can get a neat run, this is not. It's not bad, but it's 7 tenths. I think it's definitely too far back, but it'll close in on the Mercedes. Lap 35 or 35 now, and he's too far back. He isn't going to go for the dive. At this point, he probably finds he's conceded this, but he won't give up. It's still 6-1, and it's still a chance for him to try and close in, and he's closing and closing through these corners. It's a good run for turn 3 as he had uphill, but he's too far back, and he'll close in once again, but too far back, and it's one-way traffic through the middle sector now. So Danny M7 is looking very much on for a win here in Hungary, and what a way to take back the championship lead. Mulder sticking with him. It's now half a second the gap, but Danny's rounding it all up. He hasn't been able to breathe in this race, but he's had to control it. He's made no mistakes, and definitely probably driver of the day in terms of just keeping it clean and not bottling it under pressure when Mulder's put him under so much pressure in this race. Danny M7 now rounds out these last 2 corners now, and here he comes heading into the last corner. He wins round 12 here in Hungary, round the final corner, and it's another win this season, and he takes back the championship lead ahead of Jork. He's now here, and he wins in Hungary, ahead of Mulder in second place. Pigeon Munch crosses the line in third, and he'll keep hold of the podium, and he'll just miss out on second place with 6 tenths of a second. Jork will hold off his own teammate, but that was bound to happen.
Smash around.
He's still on. Let's keep on board with these two, because they're going for it. Here he comes. He's going to break later around the outside. Yes, round the outside. No,
that's not legal.
That's not round the outside. Surely
not.
If
he keeps that position, that's outrageous.
Yeah, I think you know what he is.
He's keeping it.
He ain't giving it back.
If that doesn't get swapped back, I'll be amazed. He's got away with it, but that should be a penalty for sure. And well, even if it's the 5-second penalty, he'll keep it, because Smasher had loads of in-game penalties. But yeah, despite what I was saying at one point, actually a very entertaining race. Credit for that has to be given for Mulder, absolutely not giving up despite everything being against him. But of course it was Danny who took the win in the end. Controlling drive from him, and he deserves the win, and now the championship lead, which he has regained by 2 points.
There you go, Danny M7 on the top step once again in this season, and that's a really good job. But a great battle for the whole race between himself and Mulder. I think that was a really good. It kept the race going and kept the race alive, which was superb. And that's now Danny's 2nd win of the year after winning in Monaco. So he hasn't won since Monaco, but he's had a load of podiums this year as well. But very good stuff, and that is your result for this race. Let's run through the order. So it's Danny M7 who wins in Hungary, and it's Mulder in second place after him fighting Danny all race, keeping him honest, and Pigeon Munch in 3rd place, completing the podium. Jork in 4th, he loses the championship lead, and it's now Danny in front by 2 points. And now it's Melanie in 5th, Asper in 6th, Smasher in 7th, and João Paulo rounding it out for the last of the finishers in 8th. Zelchi didn't finish in the end in 9th after he had wheel issues, and Dazzler in 10th. Nathan Aitken in 11th, Bira Hamilton in 12th, and Midzi in 13th place. So let's invite the top 3 to the party, and let's get the podium interviews underway.
Yeah, a lot of DNFs today, unfortunately, but that didn't take away from the action at the front. Once again, congrats to Danny. We'll speak to him, Mulder, who we won't really speak to, and Pish and Munch very shortly. Um, yeah, good race throughout the field. Shame there weren't more drivers in it to make it more entertaining, but hope we'll be back with a better attendance next week in Spa, as we now do have Pish and Munch, all of them in the party. Just remember to include your audio guys if it lets them connect.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, so just include your audio guys and I'll get started. Mulder, do whatever you need to do and we'll read it out at the end. You ready, Danny? Is your audio included?
Yeah.
Firstly, King, congrats on the win. Very well controlled drive for you today. How crucial was getting that pole position by such a small margin at the end of quali, just for the last run of the session?
Very crucial. Obviously, seen by the nature of this track position is everything. It shouldn't have been that close, but I'm not going to start making excuses because I got pole anyway. But yeah, I seen the time come up that I got pole position and I realised how close it was. So yeah, it was crucial. And then it was just about the start. I think I got into turn 1 first. I think I'd be able to control the race. I felt so I had good pace and was able to save some sort of ERS and in the middle sector while still pulling away from them, just to deploy down the pit straight. And yeah, so the race was it felt long, but I felt as though I had everything under control.
Yeah. With Mulder behind you for pretty much the entirety of the second stint, with pressure throughout that, how difficult was that for you? Or were you aware that he had penalties and, if necessary, prepared to give it up and play the sensible game and know you could win it even without winning on track?
Yeah, I mean, when I seen, when I kept looking behind, the amount of times I've seen him off the track, I kind of realised that he was going to rack up the penalties. I did ask Jeff multiple times because I just wanted to make sure I got no warnings, which I think I did. I don't think I got any. So yeah, that's obviously. I still would have fought it because that's what I'm like. I would have wanted to win outright anyway, but yeah, if a push came to shove, if it was getting a bit aggressive, yeah, I would have just backed off, knowing. But within there, I think I had everything under control. I wasn't really worried about losing the lead at any point. I felt as though I had a good rhythm going, and he was good on the brakes. I'll give him that. I think in the final sector when I pulled out about 9/10, in the first two corners, he caught that back up. So he was very good on the brakes, but I think I had just enough in the final and the middle sector to keep enough of a gap for him to not get ahead and not make mistakes. So yeah, it was it's very rare where I've had a race like that leading from the front. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, congrats on the win, our second repeat win of the season, and now leading the championship by a pretty small margin once again. Congrats, Danny.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Mulder will write his essay, so we'll move on to Pish and Munch in third place's second podium of the season. And something that Dom and I were very confused about was when your pace suddenly just dropped. You completely dropped back from Mulder and Danny with about 15 laps to go. Was there any explanation for that?
I'm wanting an explanation as well, to be honest. I had no idea. I don't know, I was thinking about penalties behind, and then I looked in front and I'm like, oh, they're like 3 seconds ahead. I didn't even realise. I don't know, I just had a brain phase or what. So then I was on similar pace and I could not get it back. I was trying my best, but I have no idea where that went, to be honest. And I don't know what happened in the pits. I got released in front of Danny and then it ghosted me and then slowed me down, and then I got jumped by Mulder, so there was nothing I could do. But I think considering the pace of these guys, I think it's a good result for me anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Did you consider in the first stint, when you got the gap back down to Danny, did the win ever cross your mind, or were you always thinking about the fact there was a long race and still plenty of laps to go?
Yeah, to be honest, I was going to pit that lap, and then the virtual safety car came out, and I was not happy with that, because I figured everyone would pit a lap early, ideally, because no one wants to fall behind anyone. So I thought I'd try and get like a big undercut. And yeah, the VSC came out and it absolutely screwed me.
Alright, well, done on third place nonetheless, and Mulder has written his part of his essay. Oh, there's still more to come. So I'll read the first bit. He's absolutely gutted to lose pole by a 1,000th, and he bottled the start on the first 7 laps or so, and got 6 seconds of penalties. And he says if his pit stop was 0.01 seconds quicker, I could have got P1. Second stint was close enough to Danny to overtake, but it wasn't close enough to overtake Danny. But with 9 seconds of penalties, he should be happy with P2. And indeed, he provided a show for us and Dom and anyone else watching it back. So thank you for that, Mulder. And I think we're just about done.
Yeah, well done, chaps. Good race. Well, decent race. It was a bit of a long one, wasn't it, James? In the end, well done, chaps, on a decent race there. But that's been probably the season. We'll be back next week for Belgium. So we'll see you then.